So we're going to paper 2, May 2024, economics. The first question says, economists predict that Canada was likely to experience a recession in 2023. Which one of the following is most likely to occur when an economy is in recession? A rise in investment and a rise in profit for firms. Why is it not a rise in investment and a rise in profit for firms?
Because that's a recession is a general fall in price of goods and services, and this describes a inflation.
A rise in investment and a rise in the profit of a firm. What does that indicate?
That well, it's not correct because they're going to fall.
You don't get what I'm saying. A rise in investment and a rise in the profits of firms.
Okay.
What does that indicate?
That. What does it mean, or what does it?
Yeah, what does this mean? So if there's a rise in investment and a rise in profit for firms, what does that mean?
A rise in investment is a rise in the spending on capital goods, and a rise in the profits is a rise in the firm's revenue.
A rise in investment?
A rise in investment is
Yes, sorry. Yeah, a rise in investment, sorry.
a rise in investment is a rise in the spending firms on capital goods, and a rise in the profits is a rise in the revenue of firms.
But still not answering the question. What I'm asking, they said economists predicted that Canada was likely to experience a recession in 2023, right? So which one of the following is most likely to occur when an economy is in a recession?
Yeah.
What is recession?
The general fall of prices of goods and services.
That is recession.
Yeah.
A general fall in price of goods and services. Recession, no. A general fall in price of goods and services is deflation.
Okay, recession is the fall of an economy's output.
Recession, recession is a fall in economic activity for 2 consecutive quarters. That is not the same as general fall in price level. If price level falls, that is deflation. It's not the same. Recession might bring about that, but it's not deflation. So now, you didn't choose A. A says a rise in investment and a rise in the profit of firms.
Yeah.
What does this indicate?
This statement indicates that there is a growth.
Economic growth. That's what I want from you. So a rise in investment and a rise in the profit of firms is an indication for economic growth. Okay, but recession is recession and economic growth or economic decline?
Decline.
So it's not a fall in government expenditure and a rise in real income. If there's a fall in government expenditure, what does that mean?
Well, what does that mean? It means that there's a decline in real income.
A fall in government expenditure, what does it mean?
A fall in government expenditure, it means that there's a fall in the government spending.
So government spending reduces. So what could bring about government spending reducing?
A rise in employment. Rise
in employment. So if government is not spending more, it simply means there's an increase in employment. So welfare benefit is reducing.
Yeah.
So is this an indication of economic growth or economic decline?
Growth.
Then a rise in real income, is it economic growth or decline?
Growth.
So it is not B, because A and B indicates economic growth. C, a rise in consumer confidence and a fall in the unemployment rate.
Yeah.
What does that indicate?
It's not, it indicates that there's a growth.
So economic growth, right? Economic growth. So A, B, C are all economic growth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Economic growth. So the answer is D, because they said a fall in government tax revenues and a fall in real output. If real output falls, it means GDP is falling. If government tax revenue falls, it means firms are not making revenue, unemployment is increasing. So income tax, corporate tax are reducing. And one of the reasons why income tax and corporate tax might reduce is because there's economic decline. People will not have jobs. Firms will not be making profit as they used to make. Government revenue through taxation would fall.
Yeah.
Is it clear now?
Yeah.
So there's economic recession. Economic recession simply means a fall in economic activity for 2 consecutive quarters, and that is the economic decline. So A, B, C are all economic growth, and that is why they are not the answer. So question 1 is D. Any question about that?
No.
Good. We go to question 2. Excuse me, please. So for question 2, they said between July 2021 and December 2021, the rate of inflation in Rwanda was negative. Which one of the following is most likely to account for this decrease in the average price level in Rwanda? A negative inflation rate is what?
Is it deflation?
Deflation, okay. So which one of the following is most likely to account for this decrease in the average price level in Rwanda? A decrease in saving ratio.
This is not correct because this means that consumption is there's a decrease in consumption.
A decrease in saving ratio means there's an increase. It's a decrease in saving ratio.
It means there's an increase in consumption. So there's an increase in the what's it called, the average price level.
But there's an increase in the average, a decrease in average price level. So it's not A. Listen, why is it not A? It's not A because if there's a decrease in average price level,
higher consumption.
If consumption is increasing, it's expected to increase
Average
the average price level. So it's not A, okay. B, a decrease in the cost of raw materials.
It's not correct because it means
B is not correct. So
sorry, B is correct.
why is B correct?
It's because it brings about a decrease in the average price level.
A reduction in cost of production will reduce the price, right? Okay, it's B, okay, good. Then why is it not C?
It's not C because C also brings about a greater consumption, which leads to an increase in average price level.
An increase in the availability of credit. That also increases consumption, right?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
What is credit?
Credit is the available money that you do not own. The money you can spend but do not own.
Yes, thank you. The money that you spend but does not belong to you, which is expected to pay back, right? With probably interest. Thank you. So question 2 is what? B. Go to question 3, right?
Yeah.
In 2022, Bahrain's GDP was $44 billion and its population was 1.5 million. Which one of the following is the GDP per capita for Bahrain in 2022? What is the formula for GDP per capita?
It's the GDP divided by the population.
Divided by the population. So we have GDP 44 billion, okay?
Divided by 1.5.
44 divided by 1.5. So that's 293333, okay? Good. Got that. We go to question 4. Thank you. Are we together?
Yes.
Question 4. The net monthly balance of trade, the net monthly balance of trade deficit in goods and services for Honduras increased from $475.8 million in April 2022 to $647.9 million in April 2023. Which one of the following is most likely reason for this increase in the balance of trade deficit for Honduras? What is balance of trade deficit? We talked about it earlier.
It's the difference between the import and export.
So that is balance of trade.
Yeah.
I'm talking about balance of trade deficit.
Balance deficit means that there's more withdrawal than an injection.
No, that's circular flow.
Okay. Means that the exports are greater than the imports are greater than the exports.
The value of imports is greater than the value of export of trade. That is balance of trade deficit. So what will bring about a balance of trade deficit? A decrease in
an increase in the external value of currency.
So we'll go back there anyway. That's your answer.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right anyway, but we'll check. Let's check from A.
Okay.
A decrease in its rate of inflation relative to its trading partner. So if there's, in the previous class I talked about, you mentioned inflation and I told you in relative to other countries, right? So that might bring about import exceeding export. So here they said a decrease in the rate of inflation relative to its trading partner. So which simply means
this will lead to a reduction in trade deficit. That's
It will
great.
lead to reduction in the trade deficit, okay? An increase in the external value of its currency. What is an external value of its currency? What is the external value of currency?
It's the exchange rate.
Exchange rate, thank you. So an increase in the exchange rate means what?
Means
Import becomes what?
import is less than your import is greater than
No, that's not what I want. An increase in exchange rate brings about import becoming what? What is import?
Import is the goods that leave the country.
Goods that leaves the country. Imports.
I'm tripping. It's imports are the goods that leave the Mr.
Let me help you out. Imports are goods that are purchased from foreign businesses.
that come in the country.
No? You don't say that. Who's going to give you the mark for that? Imports means goods or services that are purchased from foreign businesses. That is import. Whatever you are saying here is English. We don't want English. We want economics here. So you have to use the terms.
Okay.
So buying from foreign businesses, it's imports. Selling to foreign customers, exports. Okay. So exchange rate is the value of a country's currency relative to other countries' currency. Good. If the value of a country's currency is increasing, if it is increasing, what does that indicate? What does that bring about? What implication does it, what effect does it have? Does it have with importation? If the value of your exchange rate increases, what effect does it have with importation?
Well, means that your currency is getting stronger because people buy it.
That is increase in exchange rate. You are saying the same thing as I've said. I'm talking about, forget about the exchange rate now. What will happen to imports?
If your currency, there's an
if you have a strong currency, what happens to imports?
They will increase. They will decrease.
Imports.
Yeah. Well, when
your exchange rate is strong, like what is happening here, an increase in the external value of its currency. So if your exchange rate is stronger, what happens to imports? Let me just help you out here. Does import becomes cheaper or expensive? That is where I'm going.
Stronger currency means imports getting cheaper.
Cheaper, and that increases demand for importation.
Yeah.
That is what happens. Listen, there's international trade.
Yeah.
We won't talk about international trade without talking about exchange rate. So what is trade itself? Buying and selling. The international trade is buying and selling, import and export. That is international trade. There's exchange, which is money. Money is involved. So if the exchange rate if the exchange rate becomes stronger, it makes the value of imports to become cheaper. Then importation increases. If your exchange rate is weak, export increases because it becomes an incentive for foreign customers to buy from you. You become internationally competitive.
Yeah.
Okay. So an increase in the external value of its currency means that the country's currency, the local currency, is becoming stronger, and that would increase importation because importation becomes cheaper. If importation is not cheaper, we don't talk about imports exceeding exports. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So the answer is B. Yes, I know. It is not A. Yeah, okay. So C. Why is it not C?
Because a decrease in the real incomes would reduce the balance of trade deficits.
Why?
Because people will have less disposable income.
And disposable income might be spent on
the goods, the consumption goods.
Which goods?
Imported goods.
Okay, you need to analyze these things, but I'm not supposed to know. You are supposed to highlight it. Let me know. You said consumption of what? Disposable income should be spent on what? Some part of the disposable income might be spent on importation, but with real incomes reducing, it means people will have less to spend. So because since you have less to spend, it simply means you won't be able to spend on importation. So the answer is B, right? Question 5. The unemployment rate in Sri Lanka increased from 5.2% in 2021 to 6.7% in 2022. Which one of the following is the most likely effect of this increase in the unemployment rate? An increase in national happiness in Sri Lanka. Why is it not an increase in national happiness?
Because incomes will fall, which reduces subjective happiness.
Thank you. It's not A. B. An increase in the level of profit for firms in Sri Lanka. Why is it not?
It's not because the profits for firms will fall as consumers' spending decreases.
So an increase in level of profit. Consumer spending reduces, and it's based on subjective happiness. Income is linked to happiness, and when you have income, that is when you can buy things, goods and services.
Yes.
But here, people will not be able to buy, so firms are not going to be able to make profit. So it's not B2. So why is it C?
C because
Why is it C?
Because a decrease in tax revenue for Sri Lanka's government leads to less government expenditure,
A decrease in what?
tax revenues,
Okay.
because the government has less money to spend. Therefore, they would have to lay off people.
So, okay, a decrease in tax revenue for Sri Lankans. Yes, tax revenue. So the answer is C, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then why? Why did you even choose C? I need to get that point again because I'm not convinced yet. You said it, right?
I said
Yeah, say it again.
Okay.
I was not here. Maybe I was not
A
here.
decrease in tax revenue means that there's less government expenditure.
A decrease in tax revenue reduces government expenditure. Okay. But the question is not about government expenditure. They said, which one of the following is the most likely effect of this increase in the unemployment rate? Now, you have to tell me about unemployment rate and how it is being linked to decrease in tax revenue.
Okay. When there's a greater unemployment rate, there's less tax income because less people are working.
Unemployment is linked to income. An increase in unemployment means a fall in the level of income.
Yes.
And that reduces income taxes to, income taxes, which is tax revenue. Okay, good. Now, why didn't you choose D? Because D might be right. So why didn't you choose it?
Well, because a decrease in welfare payments will be less of an incentive for construction for a decrease in welfare payments by Sri Lanka's government would lead people to work more because
Effects is the reaction towards that action.
Yeah.
So an increase in unemployment rate, let me just help you out here. An increase in unemployment rate, if there's a decrease in welfare payment, it simply means that unemployment has reduced.
Yeah.
Or probably government is spending less on maybe unemployment benefits. You did say that. You said
so it's an incentive for.
If there's a decrease in welfare payments, if you say it is an incentive to work, what is the incentive to work when there's unemployment? There's unemployment. So don't use incentive here. There's unemployment. That is the fact. But a decrease in welfare payments does not go with this situation because a decrease in welfare payment means unemployment benefit has reduced. And that would have meant that unemployment rate has fallen. So don't use incentive in that situation. Clear? Question 5 is right. Go to question 6. The table shows average UK house prices between 2022 and January 2023. Which one of the following can be deduced from the table? Okay, the table says average house prices, did it increase or reduce?
They fell. They fell.
They fell.
Increase.
So existing homeowners experience negative wealth effect.
Yeah.
So what is negative wealth effect?
Is when your assets or your capital reduces.
Loses value.
Loses value.
Okay. Okay. When you said your asset reduces, that means you had 4 assets. Now one is done. One is gone. That is reduces the value. Okay. So negative wealth effect. Okay. Existing homeowners experience an increase in consumer confidence.
This is wrong. This
Why?
is not correct because consumer confidence is likely to decrease.
Because house prices are falling, so they don't have that. When the price of house fell, consumers that are willing to buy houses will not want to buy. It disincentivize them from buying. So they will be pessimistic about the future because the house prices are falling. Okay, between 2022 and Jan 2023, average house prices fell by 0.52. Did you do the calculation?
Yes, it's 1.65%.
Great. So it's not safe. There will be a greater incentive for construction companies to build new houses.
This is not correct because there will be less incentive for construction companies to build new houses
So
because there's average house price fell.
So a fall in price would discourage construction companies to build houses because it's not profitable to build, right? So question 6 is, hey, great. Do you have any question on that?
No.
So we'll go to question 7. Are you there?
Yeah.
Question 7. In 2021, net migration in Nepal was approximately, there's uprising in Nepal recently, The Gen Zs are, tormenting the government.
Yeah, I know. Saw the videos.
Yeah. Okay. In 2021, net migration in Nepal was approximately 300,000. Explain one impact of this net migration on employment in Nepal.
First of all, let's talk about what is net migration.
So what does it mean?
It's immigration minus emigration.
That is net migration, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. So this increase will lead to an increase in employment if the immigrants are coming to fill job vacancies that Nepalese people cannot fill. According to the extracts, net migration was 300,000 in 2021. If they are coming to fill up positions that the Nepalese cannot fill. So, one impact of this net migration on employment. I still don't get the correlation. You said this increase will lead to an increase in employment.
Yeah.
Impact on net migration on employment. Okay, will increase employment. Okay. So, coming to fill job vacancies that Nepalese cannot fill. So how does this have impact in the economy of Nepal or on? It said the immigrants are coming to fill the positions that Nepalese cannot fill. Yeah, that increases employment. That increases employment. That's what you said, right?
The job rate, yeah, because when they come and fill the jobs, the Nepalese cannot fill. So
what impact does this one have?
it raises employment.
It raises employment.
And it also increases competitiveness.
They said explain one impact. So the impact is an increase in immigration will increase employment.
Yeah.
How did you get here? Because an increase in migration might increase the supply of labor.
Yeah.
Where's supply of labor? You said increase employment. An increase in net migration might increase the supply of labor. Okay, now let's take the supply of labor. So if there's an increase in net migration, which might bring about an increase in supply of labor. So it increases employment opportunity if the immigrants are coming to fill the job vacancy. Okay, I will come back to the supply of labor. So if it increases employment opportunity, what impact does this have?
More efficiency.
If employment increases, it increases.
No, when you fill job vacancies that Nepalese people cannot fill, that increases efficiency.
Efficiency
and output.
No, productivity, not efficiency. Efficiency comes with resources.
Yeah.
Not wasting resources, that is efficiency. Not wasting time, that's efficiency. But when you are increasing output, productivity, so this increases employment, and if employment is increasing, it might increase productivity. You said, especially if the job vacancy cannot be filled by the Nepolis.
Because the job vacancies that will be filled will increase the productivity in the
You didn't mention productivity. You only mentioned efficiency. I'm the one that mentioned productivity.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, it increases employment. If it increases employment, what is the correlation between employment and, you didn't talk anything, you just said it increases employment. And you gave me the analysis that was written here. If employment is increasing, what is the impact? They said, explain one impact. Increases employment, or employment increases. Is that an impact? No.
No.
If employment is increasing,
There's more productivity.
yeah, that is the impact. So, at least I'm getting my mark back here. 3. So go to question 8. What? I'm happy to get the mark, So for each one you miss, I become happy with it. Question 8. This is between May, Nigeria, my country. Between May 2022 and April 2023, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, we call it CBN. The CBN increased the country's base rate of interest by 6 percentage points. Draw aggregate demand and long-run aggregate supply diagram to show the effect of this increase in the base rate interest on consumption. LRAS, okay, great.
One Keynesian and one classical.
Okay. Oh, you gave me both. That was good. Okay. Unemployment. Okay. Long-run aggregate supply. AD curve. This increases interest rate, right? Aggregate demand will shift leftward. Okay. Price level would fall.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because real income or real GDP fell.
It's fine. We only need one anyway. Okay, that's good. Price level falls, real output. Why did the government of Nigeria, what do you think makes the government of Nigeria to increase the country base rate of interest?
Supply, what is it called? Cost. Cost. What's it called? It's a policy.
It's a monetary policy, we know. What I'm saying is, what do you think would have made the government of Nigeria to increase the rate of interest?
You want to make more money? I don't know, mister.
No. You just tell me you don't know because you are not a Nigerian. No, that's not the point. This is economics. So if the central bank, okay, why do you know about Nepal? If the Central Bank of Nigeria has increased the interest rate, there might be different reasons. There are different reasons why the Central Bank of Nigeria would have done that. One of the reasons might be maybe to make the currency to become stronger, because a rise in interest rate means an increase in demand for Nigerian currency, naira.
Okay.
Because foreign savers would want to come to Nigeria to save.
Why would they save if there's an increase in interest rate? I'm asking.
Yeah, an increase in interest rate is an incentive to save more.
But why?
Now, if interest rate increases, are you supposed to save more or borrow more?
Save more.
So foreign savers, as a Libyan, you might want to save in Nigeria because the interest rate is increasing. But you won't save with dinars, you save with naira. So which means the demand for naira might increase. That might make the naira to be stronger. Does it make sense here? That's one. It could be based on inflation. Government might want to reduce aggregate demand in Nigeria, and that might make them to do that. Because at the end of it all, government wants the price level to fall. So if the demand for Nigerian currency increases, the exchange rate rises. If the interest rate increases, the supply of naira reduces. There won't be money supply in the economy because most people would save more than spending. Firms will not have any other choice than to reduce the price level. Do you get it now?
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a Nigerian to know. You only have to be an economist to know the situation in any country. And that is what we are doing here. Clear? Because you cannot answer my question, maybe I should take one mark away. I'm not taking any away. So go to question 9. The table shows the value of exports and import of goods and services, $1 billion for Thailand in 2020 and 2021. Okay, calculate the change in Thailand's balance of trade between 2020 to 2021. Net trade is X minus M. What is X?
Exports.
And M?
Import.
Oh, okay. I was just asking. I want to be sure, you know. Okay, so they said we should calculate the change. So we have X minus M. In 2020, we have 2020. The difference in 2020 is what? 21. The difference in 2021 is 27. So the change is this percentage change or just change?
This is the change.
Okay, 21. Great. Why didn't you work out the percentage change? Because they did not ask.
Because I answered the question.
Okay, yeah, because they did not ask. I've got that. Question 10. I'll be right back, please. Okay. So go to question 10. They said that the chart shows the annual rate of inflation in Colombia as measured by the CPI. This is okay. This is the year-on-year inflation rate calculated monthly. With reference to the chart, explain one likely effect of this trend in the rate of inflation. So before we go there, what is CPI? Consumer Price Index. What's CPI? Consumer Price Index.
It's the
CPI. It is the estimated changes in the price of goods
goods and
of
services.
goods and services over time. So that's the consumer price index. How it changes over
I
time.
don't know why I didn't say that.
You don't know why, because you forgot to say it. So changes in the price level, the base year and the present year, that's what consumer price index is about. So basically, we need consumer price index to indicate if there's inflation or not within the economy. I think the point is clear there.
Mhm.
So they said with reference to the chart, explain one likely effect of this trend in the rate of inflation. So what happens to the trend?
The rate of inflation
The general price level increases, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
From 1.8% to 13%.
To 13%. So inflation is a rise in the general price level over all goods and services, okay? The estimate is what the CPI is about. Okay, according to the extract, inflation rose from 1.8% to 13% over a period of 2 years. This suggests people will reduce consumption as saving would appear more attractive. This could lead to a fall in aggregate demand as consumption is a component of aggregate demand. Thank you. I have to give you full mark for this because you didn't tell me about CPI. It's okay though. Move on to question 11. Are you there?
Yeah.
Between 2015 and 2023, the European ECB increased its asset purchase program by approximately 3.5 trillion euros. With reference to the data, explain what is meant by quantitative easing. So what is quantitative easing?
It's when the central bank purchases corporate bonds from commercial banks
Okay. Why do they want to buy it?
to ensure there's enough supply of money.
There's a supply. This is to ensure there is money supply in circulation. Okay. So quantitative easing is monetary policy instrument. It has a role to reduce interest rate, which could result in a greater consumption. Quantitative easing. So to increase money supply.
Yeah.
So if money supply increases, now I'm just putting this to you. If money supply increases, what impact does this have on consumers? You said consumption increases, right?
Yeah,
Why would consumption increase? Because of quantitative easing.
because there's more money circulating around the.
So money just
Economy.
circulates. What do you say? Okay, so
Okay.
with quantitative easing, money is everywhere in Tripoli.
There's more money to borrow.
Oh, that's it. Credit
Yeah.
availability. That's the point. So when you say money, there's a lot of money flowing around. Or like, oh, the Central Bank of Libya just have to talk about there's quantitative easing. Then we'll see money in the street of Libya. Nah, it doesn't work that way. Quantitative easing allows the commercial bank to have more money in circulation. So if the supply of money is increasing, what happens to the interest rate?
Increases, reduces
Reduces. And why?
because there's central bank.
No.
The commercial banks can.
No. The question I'm putting on to you is this.
Because
if the supply of money increases, what happens to interest rates?
Reduces.
So this is why.
Okay. The interest rate reduces because the cost of borrowing money is cheaper.
No. We said the supply of money. Now, it started with the supply of money. If the supply of money increases from yes,
there's more demand from.
If the supply of money increases
the supply
from S to S1.
Okay.
So what happens to the interest rate? Because when we talk about
falls.
Why? The graph, we have the quantity of money and the interest rate.
Okay.
So there is the equilibrium interest rate. There's equilibrium interest rate here, where the interest rate and the quantity supply is there. So we have this.
Okay.
So supply increases from this to this.
And quantity increases.
Yes. So quantity is going to increase, yes, from Q1 to Q2, right? So from let's say from S1 to S2. So what happens to the equilibrium? What happens to the interest rate?
It falls.
It falls, right? Okay. So why did the interest rate fall?
The quantity demand and the quantity supplied increased.
Increased. Yeah, I said the supply of money increases. And I'm asking you, why did the interest rate fall?
Is it okay if I say I don't know?
Yes, if you don't know, I will explain.
Okay, explain.
Okay, done. But before I explain, what is the relationship between interest rate and quantity of money? Do they have inverse relationship or?
Yeah, inverse relationship. The greater the supply of money, the lower the interest rate.
And the lower the interest rate, the lower the interest rate, the higher the quantity demanded. I'm asking you, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Is it a positive relationship or a negative relationship?
Between what? Supply or demand?
The quantity of money and the supply of money.
Well, what the quantity of money and the supply of money?
Yes.
Isn't that the same thing?
I said the supply, the interest rate and the supply of money. That's what I'm talking about.
They're inversely proportional.
They are inverse.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's more money to borrow.
So now, if the supply of money increases from SL1 to SL2, supply of money, okay, from S1 to SM1 to SM2, the quantity of money in circulation will increase from Q1 to Q2, right? So the interest rate is expected to fall. Now, the question I put to you was, why will the interest rate fall? You said you don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a sin not to know, so it's fine. Now, why is the interest rate falling? The interest rate is falling because supply of money has increased more than demand for money. That's why the interest rate is falling. There's excess supply of money. So if there's excess supply of money, it simply means the interest rate has fallen. When goods are much available, it's just the same as in the market. When the supply of goods are increasing, what happens to the price of goods? What happens to the price of goods?
It falls.
They fall. And interest rate is the price of what?
The price of money.
Money. So if the supply of money increases, the price of money would fall, which is interest rate. So there's a fall in interest rate if supply of money increases because the price of money has fallen. So with quantitative easing. Now look at it this way. The Central Bank of Nigeria, the ECB uses quantitative easing. As long as they use quantitative easing, it increases the money supply, right? Now, look at where they are going. Money supply increases from SM1 to SM2. Quantity of money has increased from Q1 to Q2. Interest rate has fallen. A fall in interest rate will encourage what? Borrowing. So there's quantitative easing based on the fact that the Central Bank of the ECB wants to encourage consumers to borrow. And commercial banks will not be able to give out loans if they don't have enough supply of money. So is it clear now, please?
Yeah.
So because I explained a lot of things here, and I don't know what to do now.
Just ask me to
say. I'm giving you your mark. You got your mark. We go to question 12. Are we there?
Yeah.
Define the term corporation tax. What is a corporation tax?
It's a tax charged by the government on firm or company or a business.
A tax charged by the government to a firm for profit. Okay, it's fine. Tax on profit. And if taxes are charged on profit, what happens to profit of firms?
Reduces.
Okay. This reduces firms' profit, which in turn increases what?
Increases government revenue.
Government revenue. Thank you. Government revenue. So that's clear. Go to 12B, right? That's what is meant by GNI. GNI. What is GNI? Gross national income. It's defined as the GDP plus net income from overseas. GNI stands as an alternative measure of the economic growth, which is GDP.
Yeah.
It also excludes the impact of international companies.
Does it? It does,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, sure. Well, let me see. 1. Yeah, stands for, okay, 2. Let me just go like that. I think I'm becoming so.
You know, I'm right, mister.
I'm becoming so, I'm giving you marks for free now. Is it not free? Oh, it's 4 marks. Let's take it like that. So go on. I'll still get my mark back anyway. We go to question C. With reference to extract A, analyze 2 reasons for the improvement in living standards in Ireland between 2015 and 2022. Let's go back to the extract. Extract A, right? Extract A, extract A, extract A. Extract A. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's a long extract. Okay. 2 reasons for the improvement in living standards. It said Ireland benefits from foreign direct investments as it increases employment with more demand for domestic workers, leading to higher incomes. So, another 2 reasons for improvement in the living standards. So, higher incomes can improve standard of living. Okay. It also boosts
the revenues, tax revenues,
as firms like Apple contribute to corporate tax and
enabling
enabling more public spending. For example, okay. So, the 2 reasons for the improvement in living standards is that employment increases. That increases income. Incomes. Okay, but you stopped here. You said leading to higher income. So higher incomes, when income increases, how does this reflect? Okay, oh, my income has increased. Well, it has to reflect in what I spend, right? Okay, put it this way. Your salary has been increased. If your salary has increased and it's in your pocket, you still don't buy things that you were unable to buy before. As your living standard improved, no. So you stopped by saying income has increased without telling us how it improves the living standard. It stopped at this. Employment increases income. So how does income improve the standard of living? Things have to be purchased. You did not try that. So it ends here. Now I say it also boosts, okay, it's okay. Yes, no, got the two here. Okay. It also boosts tax revenue. So for tax revenue, government taxes. Okay, if corporation tax is being paid, I think you understand what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
So if income increases, consumption for households increases, which means they can as well spend on importation. So that improves their living standard. They can spend on quality goods. That improves their living standards. So that is where you're supposed to end it up with. So that's the first one, which is employment, which brings about income, which increases consumption on maybe importation and the rest. Then you talked about government tax revenue. How does it bring about tax revenue? Because consumption has increased, firms would witness increase in profit.
Yeah.
Improvement in living standards. And that's two reasons for the improvement in living standards. Okay. Now, public spending on what? Apple contributes to corporate tax, enabling more public spending. Public spending on what? That brings about improvement in the living standard. On healthcare, on education, on infrastructure. You didn't talk about it. So, oh, there's public spending. Oh, we know there's public spending on what? Because the public spending must be linked to improvement in the living standards. So this could be on healthcare. If government spend on healthcare, it reduces household disposable income. No, sorry, it reduces spending on healthcare by households. That increases their disposable income. So they might as well spend more to improve their living standard, because part of what they are supposed to spend on is healthcare, but government is taking care of it. Part of what household might spend on is education. Government is taking care of it. So because government is taking care of these things, it allows them to spend more on things that can improve their living standard. That is how it should work. Clear?
Yeah.
All in all, so it's 4 heads. So go to question.
Why are you happy, Mr.?
Yeah, because I'm getting my marks back. And I'm getting the marks back and you're getting more information, so it's fine. So it's a win-win situation anyway.
Yeah.
So we go to question 12. 12D, right? Okay. 12D, 12D, 12D. Okay. With reference to figure 1 and extract A, examine 2 reasons why Ireland's rate of economic growth was expected to decrease in 2023. A high rate of inflation reduces real incomes, lowering consumption and aggregate demand. Rising interest rates increases borrowing costs. Borrowing costs discourages investment and consumption. In 2022, Ireland GDP growth was this. According to figure 1, both forecasts suggest a fall to 4% in 2023 and 3.5 average between 2024 to 2027, according to the extra A. Growth remains low since forecasts can change with falling inflation or stronger global demand. For what? Global demand for Ireland's what? Global demand. Global demand, that's what it was. So now they said 2 reasons why Ireland's economic growth was expected to decrease. A fall in. So the 2 reasons you talked about here, investment is expected to fall, right?
Yeah.
So if investment falls, economic growth rate will fall.
Yes.
So both investment and consumption would fall.
So
that would bring about, yes, okay. Okay. So an increase in consumption and an increase in investment can both bring about economic growth.
Yes.
Are you sure?
An increase in what? Consumption.
Investment and consumption.
Yes.
So why will an increase in investment bring about economic growth?
Because first of all, there's investment on capital goods.
So
tough questions. Due to investment, the firms
What are capital goods?
they are goods. How do I say?
Say it whatever I understand.
Non-human goods, Mr.
Human-made goods.
Human, yeah,
You said non-human. Where is non-human?
like, yeah,
Human-made goods that are used to produce other goods.
Can humans make other humans? No.
Yeah, you said non-human. You said, I don't know where you got your non-human. Alien. I don't know. You said non-human.
Human-made goods.
Okay, so goods that are used to produce other goods are called capital goods. Machine, equipment, tech, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, why will an increase in investment bring about economic growth?
Because these goods will increase the output.
Output, that is the point. Yes, that is the point. You know, when you get there, it excites me. Output, investment increases output, and if output increases, GDP increases, economic growth increases. Okay, now, if based on what we have here, investment is expected to fall. So that makes them to predict that Ireland is going to have a fall, economic decline. That's what it means. And for consumption, why do you think an increase in consumption would bring about an increase in economic growth?
Because consumption is a component of aggregate demand.
So,
and an increase in aggregate demand means an increase in economic growth.
really? 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 I want to be sure. Okay, you're right, though. But consumption is linked to aggregate demand. And what is aggregate demand itself? Don't tell me consumption plus investment plus government spending plus X minus M. I don't want that. What is aggregate demand?
That's the only definition I know, Mr.
Aggregate demand means the total demand in the economy, the total demand in the economy. That is aggregate demand. The total demand in the economy. That's aggregate demand. Okay, so we have this, and you talked about the investment, consumption, and the point here is that Ireland GDP growth was, this is just analysis here. Now, you didn't finish up by letting us to understand. You said growth remains low since forecasts can change with falling inflation rate. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes. But tell me about consumption, tell me about investment that has brought about this. You didn't talk about it. Yes, you mentioned consumption. Yes, you mentioned investment. Yes, these two things, a decline in them will bring about a decline in economic growth, and a rise in them will bring about a rise in economic growth. So you should have talked about them too. So I have 1, 3, 5. So yeah, that's 5 out of 8. Yes, that's what you got. This time I'm not smiling, that's what you got. I'm serious. And before that was you got before too. We go to question 12E. Are you there? 12E.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I'll be right back, please. Reference to figure 2, extract A and your own knowledge. Discuss the limitations of using GDP to compare living standards between countries. GDP. And you started by, in 2022, Ireland's growth was, well done. So they said the setbacks or the weakness of using GDP. So you started, I'm going to read, in 2022, Ireland's growth was about 12.2% compared to 2% in Germany and the US according to figure 2. Okay. However, GDP comparisons have limitations. Okay. What is GDP?
Gross domestic product.
Because, yeah, I know. I'm not saying what is the full meaning. If I said, what is the full meaning of GDP? You tell me gross domestic product. I said, what is GDP? Is it the same as what is the meaning of GDP? Is this the same as the full meaning of GDP?
No.
Aha. So what is GDP?
Well, Mr. What's it called?
Yeah, GDP is what it's called, right? What is GDP?
Mr. It's like the what's it called? It's like the total the total value of goods and services in an economy. within a country, Mr.
Okay, thank you. GDP is the measurement of the country's output, right?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's output, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So, okay. You let me to know that there was comparisons here. Okay, get your 1 mark for telling us that there was comparison, which was even written on the extract. However, GDP comparisons have limitations. One, percentage changes can mislead without total GDP context, and Ireland's figures are heavily influenced by multinational firms, making growth volatile. Okay, so you said GDP comparisons have limitations. One of the limitations is that there might be influence. Okay. So other countries might not have the same influence in terms of multinationals. Is that what you're trying to say here?
Yeah.
Okay. So using GDP to compare countries' living standard. So GDP does not reflect sustainability. Okay. Figure might be misleading. Okay, might be influenced. Clients making growth. Okay, yeah. GDP do not reflect sustainability, income distribution, or quality of life. Environmental impact, informal economies, and differences in public services are also excluded. GDP does not reflect sustainability, income distribution, informal economies, and so you're telling me here, what you're saying is that another reason why you might not be able to use GDP, or a setback of GDP, is that it is not sustainable. And yeah, income distribution, yeah, because it's GDP, it doesn't tell us who gets what. Okay. And the quality of life. Quality of life is about standard of living. Okay. But quality of life is Human Development Index, HDI. So quality of life is about HDI, not GDP. Are you with me? Human Development Index, where you have the quality of life, we have healthcare, we have education. Okay. Environmental impact, yes. GDP does not talk about externalities. Is that what you're talking about here? Because that environmental impact, negative environmental impact.
Negative
So we talk about externalities here. Okay, informal economies, yes. There's the black market, so that bypass government regulations, right? There's yes. And differences in public services are also excluded. Yes, different governments spend on different things. So that's also there, okay. See, going forward, while exchange rates may distort purchasing power parities, PPP, not just purchasing power parities, PPP. Well, because you said distort here, okay, it's fine. Yes, distortion is also purchasing power parities, it's fine, okay. So despite this, GDP remains widely used since it is standardized, relatively easy to calculate, and indicates economic expansion or contraction. Okay. Policymakers value it for assessing fiscal and monetary policy impact, while business use it to guide decisions. Still, alternatives to like GNI or GDP per capita may better reflect incomes and living standards. So GDP per capita reflects on income and living standards. So it's better to use GDP per capita than using GDP.
Yeah,
right?
because, for example, if you have a country like India and then a country like Luxembourg, one has a big population, one has a small.
Yeah, just like India, Libya, and Nigeria. Nigeria has a much more GDP than a large value of GDP than Libya, but Libya has a greater GDP per capita than Nigeria. So you see, so it means when you use GDP alone, we might not be able to talk about the living standards because the population of Nigeria is much more than the population of Libya. So you should also think about other variables that can be used, other indicators that can be used. In the long run, GDP matters, though one shots like 2020 crisis distort data. GDP per capita can be used, okay? Okay. Do you have any other things in now? 6 here. 7, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's what you got.
What did I even not mention, mister?
A lot. Okay, you talked about, okay, now let's talk about this. What these things you didn't mention, I will tell you. Living standard is measured with what?
HDI
Did you talk about HDI here? No. You only talked about GDP per capita.
and GNI.
And that is in general, but the living standard is linked to Human Development Index. So when you tell me about Human Development Index, they were like, okay, GDP should not be used when you want to measure the living standards. So one of the components of the Human Development Index is the level of income, level of literacy, which is education. These are things that you can use in measuring these living standards.
Okay.
And you didn't even tell me what GDP is. Well, they didn't ask though. So this is what you got, mister. You didn't tell us about Human Development Index. You didn't tell us government influences. Probably there are other things you didn't talk about. Government policies in that country differs. Government policies differs in different countries. Government are not technocrats, they are not economists. They rely mostly on information from others. Okay. So you didn't talk about that. You only said, yeah, though you said, let me see. There's where you okay, relatively easy to calculate. No, you didn't talk about it. The data might be wrong. Did you talk about data? Data, gathering the data, like data, putting data together might, they might be wrong. Yes or no?
Yes.
Did you talk about that?
No.
Okay. You didn't talk about HDI, you didn't talk about data analysis. And you only mentioned GD. Okay, did you talk about okay, GNI can be used, yes. Yeah, this is what you got. 1, 2, that's 3, 5, 11. Is it clear now? Yeah. So next time, talk about Human Development Index because it's part of how we can measure the living standard. And what's living standard anyway?
Subjective happiness.
That's all about living standard.
No.
What's living standard? You said subjective happiness. That's living standard now. Living standard. Tell me, what's living standard? I say, oh, your living standard has improved. What does that simply mean?
You're living more comfortably. Well, it's wealth, income, what else?
Improvements in your consumption can be improvement in living standard. So how much more the measurement of what you are able to put together in terms of your consumption, in terms of what you are able to buy. Yes, these are what we mean by living standard. So the improvement comes with
It's
access.
how satisfied a person is about their own life.
So that is what living standard is about. So it's not just subjective happiness. Happiness is part of it, but most of the time, income, when you talk about income as a subjective happiness, to some extent, income does, okay, when you have a TV set, you have a flat screen. So buying a new flat screen, does that increase your happiness? No. So there's an extent to which income would make you to be happy. There's going to be a stage that it's not about income. Do you understand? So that takes us to question. You did question 13 or 14?
13.
Always 13, huh? Okay. We check. They said in 2022, many countries experienced low rates of economic growth and high rates of inflation. Low economic growth, high rates of inflation. Macro. Now, evaluate supply side policies that the government could use to increase the rate of economic growth and to decrease the rate of inflation. The other time I gave you a question. I gave you a question of how policies can be used to reduce the rate of inflation. And now we're having this. Okay, there's a supply side policies aim to increase the productive capacity of the economy, shifting the long-run aggregate supply to the right, which can raise economic growth while easing inflationary pressure. For example, in the UK, government have invested in education and training to improve human capital by enhancing skills and productivity. Workers can contribute to more output per hour, leading to long-term economic growth and reducing costs to push inflation. Okay. Okay. Cost push inflation is reducing because productivity is increasing. Similarly, policies such as reducing corporate tax or deregulation may encourage firms to invest more, boosting innovation, efficiency, and aggregate supply. Okay. Infrastructure investment, okay. Infrastructure investment is another supply side measure. Okay, like
HS2.
HS2 rail, okay, in the UK, which improves connectivity, reduces transport costs, and encourages regional employment. This can make industries more competitive internationally, helping control imported inflation and improving net trade. Labor market reforms, such as increasing flexibility or reducing unemployment benefits. Labor market reforms, such as increasing flexibility or reducing unemployment benefits, could raise participation rates, expanding the labor force and potential output. Okay. However, supply side policies often take time to have an effect, meaning they may not address short-term inflation caused by external shocks, such as energy price rises. They are also costly. Large infrastructure projects which increases government borrowing. Furthermore, deregulation and tax cuts may worsen inequality. Inequality, there's always going to be inequality, worsen it, okay? Despite this, in the long run, well-designed supply-side policies remain essential for sustainable growth and inflation control. So you talked about cost push inflation here. So you talked about cost push inflation. Supply-side policies are aimed to increase aggregate supply, okay? For example, in UK, investment in education and training may improve human capital. So another example of supply side policy can be
Spending on
education
and
training. That improves human capital. And if human capital improves, it increases productivity. And based on the fact that productivity is increasing, costs for firms are expected to fall. That reduces cost push inflation. Okay. And at the same time, it could bring about long-term economic growth because output will increase, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Policies such as reducing corporate tax or deregulation. Is corporate tax a policy?
Yeah. Monetary, fiscal policy.
You said policies such as fiscal policy, corporation tax, or deregulation may encourage firms to invest more. Why? Because their profitability would increase. There's incentive. Yeah, you said corporation tax. Okay, yeah, reducing corporation tax or deregulation may encourage firms to invest more. Okay, that's an incentive for them to invest more. And if they invest more, yeah, innovation, efficiency, and that would increase aggregate supply. Infrastructure investment reduces cost for firms too. Connectivity, okay. You're making sense here. Cost and encourage regional employment. Okay. This can make industries more competitive internationally, helping so if there's international competitiveness, that increases what?
Control on
If there's international it boosts the balance of payments.
external
It boosts the balance of payments.
the BOP.
Yeah, it boosts the balance of payments, and it can also makes the exchange rate become stronger because the demand for the country's currency will rise. Okay. Improving net rate, okay, said there. Labor market reforms such as increasing flexibility of labor will be beneficial. Improves participation rate. And if participation rate increases, potential output is expected to rise. However, what are the consequences of this situation? Supply side policies often take time to have an effect. Supply side policies such as what?
The ones I mentioned though.
So no, not all supply side policies take time. If you tell me like education might take time.
Education, training, infrastructure.
Yeah, there's time lag, yes, okay. So they might not solve short-term inflation, such as, okay, they are also costly. Large infrastructure projects increase government borrowing. Furthermore, the regulation and tax cuts may worsen inequality. So why will deregulation and tax cuts bring about inequality?
Because the tax cuts means the reduction of income tax, which means that not only the rich, which has more resources and more revenue, will benefit more than the poor, which is on a fixed contract.
So there might be inequality. A cut in tax, a cut in income tax.
Yeah.
If there's a cut in income tax, how does that increase the gap between the rich and the poor?
Because the rich has more resources. Therefore, he has higher income. And when you cut tax, it affects him less. It affects him more
The
than
rich or the poor?
when you cut taxes. It affects him, well, it affects him less because his income will increase.
Do you know why there is a worsening inequality when there's a cut in tax? A cut in tax increases disposable income for everybody. But the point is, due to that cut in tax, the rich will still have more access to buy things than the poor.
Yeah.
So, which simply means demand would increase, prices will rise. It is only those that are rich that will be able to afford them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there will still be rationality. That is why it is worsened. Not that because the income tax, a cut in income tax is beneficial to everybody, but it is more beneficial to some than others. Do you get the point I'm making here? So the rich have access to buy more. They have the financial capability to buy more than the poor. So because they can buy more, means that the poor will buy less. That is still inequality.
Yeah.
Do you get the point here, please? Okay. So that brings about inequality. So despite this long-gone, well-designed supply-side policies remain essential for sustainable growth development. Okay. Okay, talked about this can make industries more competitive intentionally, helping. Okay. I'm giving you the marks of what you write, you know. So I'm sorry. Everything was mentioned. And this makes me to just give you the full mark, which I am not happy about. But I don't have any other choice than to give because you made so many points here and they make sense more. So that ends paper 2 of May 2024. So let's see what you got here.